Hi and welcome to Vintage Doll Collector. Today I wanted to share with you my small teddy bear collection that includes antique, vintage, modern, and artist bears. When I was a little kid, I was way more into stuffed animals than dolls. When I started collecting dolls, I resisted collecting bears too for a long time because I knew I could go crazy with them, and I just didn't have the space or the money to collect two different things. But over the years, a few bears have crept into my collection. Most of them came to me with collections or box lots of dolls that I purchased, and I didn't have the heart to send them away. It was actually my mom that got me started. After she retired about 15 years ago, she decided she needed a hobby and started collecting Muffy VanderBear and her friends and family. The VanderBears were made by North American Bear Company starting in the 80s up until a few years ago. This is Muffy and her bosom bunny, Hoppy Vanderhair. It was really Hoppy that I fell in love with, so you could say my first bear was actually a rabbit. But Muffy and Hoppy have tons of adorable coordinating outfits, so of course I had to get Muffy too. They're sort of a cross between a stuffed animal and a fashion doll. Who could resist that? But I didn't go crazy with them. I just got one of each and a few of my favorite outfits. This is Muffy's Valentine's Day outfit from 1989. And this is Hoppy's Take a Hike outfit from 1996. The hat's kind of covering her eyes. They have a lot of cute accessories too. Because Muffy was made over a long period of time, there are variations in them. You can see these two Muffies have different faces. The one on the right has a much smaller nose, and her facial features are kind of hidden in her fur. There's also differences in the jointing of them. This one, her arms move very easily, but her head is like really stiff and barely turns at all. The other one is the opposite. Her head moves all the way around very easily, but her arms barely budge at all. After that, it was a long time until they had some plush company in the collection. A few years ago, I found this bear in a box lot of bears at an auction. He's an artist bear made by Majel Burgard. Now, I never met Majel, but I had heard of her because she was a former member of the same doll club that I belonged to. So that seemed like a good excuse to buy the box lot, even though I still told myself I wasn't collecting teddy bears. I just love his sweet face. I named him Camembert, and it makes me smile every time I look at him. This vintage bear was in the same box lot. She's handmade but not tagged. I hadn't planned to keep her, but she doesn't really have any monetary value, so I couldn't sell her, and the longer she stayed around, the more attached I got to her. I tend to be most attracted to dolls and bears that have happy expressions. Her orange eyes match her orange outfit. You might have seen her in my Halloween video last year. Anyway, whenever you have at least 3 of something, that's a collection, so at that point there was no turning back. Last year I went to an estate sale of a person who had a very large collection of dolls and teddy bears. I sold or gave away most of what I got there, but a few of the bears stayed with me. The original owner had evidently traveled to England many times because a lot of the dolls and bears were from there. This little beanbag bear is one of those. Here's his tag. He was made by the Velveteen Bean Bear Company. He's dressed as Sherlock Holmes, and since my husband is a big fan of Sherlock, I had to keep him. This little bear with a necktie has jointed hips so he can sit, but his arms are not jointed. He doesn't have a happy expression like my other bears, but he does have a lot of character. His legs are really short compared to the rest of his body. And the way he sits leaning forward is very interesting, like he has something he wants to say. I wish I knew what his name is. He's tagged Barely There, Fountain Valley, California, designed by Linda Spiegel. This bear is tagged Peabody Collection, handcrafted by Kennebec Workshop. I looked that up and found out that he was made right here in Maine, so of course I had to keep him too. I love the way his arms are open wide like he wants to give you a big hug. He's made of a very high quality plush with velveteen paw pads. This little guy is a message bearer, and he was made by North American Bear, the same company that made Muffy and Hoppy. If you look at the way his paws are constructed, it's obvious he was meant to hold something. I had these two next to each other and it seemed there was a family resemblance, so they stayed together. This little antique mohair bear came from that same estate sale. When I got him, he had no eyes. I recently replaced them with some new glass eyes I bought on Etsy. He has longer fur than my other bears, but it's worn in places. He's fully jointed, but for some reason his hip joints no longer work. Not sure if the joints are rusted or if his legs got floppy and somebody sewed them into place. I love the way he has one ear forward and one ear back. He's about 11 inches tall. This bear is one from that collection that I was trying to sell, but I was secretly hoping that no one would buy her, so I was happy when nobody did. According to her little heart-shaped wrist tag, her name is Bumbles, and she's got a little bee sitting on her paw. She was made by Pittsburgh Originals in the 90s, of a fleece-type fabric. She has a long, pointy snout, and she also has green eyes, which are kind of unusual for a teddy bear. I don't really like all this Victorian frou-frou stuff, so that may have to go at some point, but I'm afraid she'll look too naked without it. I might have a sweater she can wear. I got this antique bear about 6 months ago with a lot of antique dolls in a trade. Although I think he's adorable, I have no good place to keep him because he's so big, and I'm afraid he might get damaged just kicking around the house moving from place to place, so he'll probably be going up for sale. He measures about 23 inches long and is made of mohair and fully jointed. His wool felt paw pads are in rough shape. You can see the Excelsior stuffing inside. Excelsior is wood shavings and was used on a lot of antique dolls and bears. I believe he's had some work done. The stitching on his nose and mouth look pretty recent, and I think his eyes were replaced too. He's still a beautiful bear though, and I do love him. I also have a couple of tiny bears that I picked up somewhere along the way. They're just accessories for dolls to hold. The red one has little hearts all over, and she's actually a pin. This Beanie Baby Peace Bear just came into my possession a couple of weeks ago. I bought him from my mom back in the 90s. My mother was a bit of a hippie and actually lived in a commune for several years, so when he first came out and I saw the tie-dyed look and the peace symbol, I had to get him for her, and she loved him. My mom passed away earlier this month, so now he's come to live with me, and every time I look at him, I'll think of her and remember what a free spirit she was. Thanks for joining me today. If you want to be notified when I have new videos posted, click on the subscribe button and the little bell icon. See you next time.